How are you employed, Ms. Bray?
Yes, I work for the Division of Family and Children's Services with the Supervisor Mentor Unit.
Okay. And can you explain what that is? I don't know that we've heard that one yet. So what
Yes.
is that one?
Yes, so the Supervisor Mentor Unit is with Field Operations. We cover the 3 different districts for the state of Georgia. So we have 3 different units within our section, and my unit covers all of North Georgia. So really any county that is above Bibb County, Macon, outside of our metro counties, so Fulton, Cobb, DeKalb, Clayton, and Gwinnett. So every other county I cover.
Okay. And so what is the supervisor mentor unit?
Yeah, so the Supervisor Mentor Unit, we are assigned supervisors, and we go in and help them perfect not only their leadership skills, but also help enhance their overall skill set when working with families.
And how long have you been with DFCS?
Going on 15 years.
And have you received training to become, being in the supervisor mentor unit?
I have. Yes, I hold a certification in leadership, organizational leadership coaching. I also have a master's in social work from the University of Georgia and a bachelor's in social work from Jacksonville State University.
All right. Other than your position that you have in the supervisor mentor unit, have you had any other roles in DFCS over the years?
Yes, I have. So I was a case manager in Hall County for 4 years. I was a supervisor in Hall County for 2 years and an administrator over foster care, the permanency unit, for another 2 years in Hall County.
When you become involved with a particular office, is there a reason why?
So for this particular instance, it was what we call a specialized assignment. So sometimes we will get called in from either county directors, district directors, or regional directors to come in and help out with a specific county for numerous different reasons. For this one, there was transition within the office, and so I was called in on a special assignment.
Was it for a particular case, or was it just to assist the county?
To assist the county in providing supervision to case managers.
Okay. Now, were you ever involved with a case involving Jamison Timms?
Yes.
All right. What was your role in working in that case?
So I provided supervision for the case manager that was overseeing the case, and while I was providing supervision, she was promoted to a supervisor. And so while she was in training, I stepped in and assisted directly with some of either making the appointments, making collaterals, here and there.
Okay.
Things that would happen with a case manager.
And you mentioned collaterals. What is that? Can you tell the jury what that is?
So collaterals is making phone calls to whether it be doctors, daycares, school, different family members, could be neighbors, just having additional conversations with people that are directly related with the family, but not living in the household of either the parents or the placement in this case. So if a child is in foster care or placed outside of the home, if whomever we're talking with is not directly living in that household, they're considered a collateral.
Okay.
So it's just to help us assess the safety, permanency, and well-being of a child.
All right. Do you recall when you became personally involved with the Timms case?
February 2022.
And during that time, were you having direct contact with Jamison and or his family?
No.
At what point did you become involved in having contact with them?
I made my first contact when we were asked to go to Boston in April of 2022.
Okay. And what do you recall? I guess you went on the trip to Boston?
I did.
All right. And what do you recall about being there at that appointment?
Yes, so the appointment was scheduled for 1 o'clock. We had a difficult time just locating where the actual appointment was. We were given an address. And when we arrived at the building of the address that we were given, we were notified that that wasn't the correct place. We got in contact with Boston Medical. We were informed that Dr. Hollick did not have an appointment by any of the last names on the case. We then contacted Mrs. Timms, just trying to find out where the building were. They were also trying to locate where the building was. We finally were able to locate Dr. Hollick's office. When we got there, he asked us who we were.
And I guess without going into what he said,
Yeah.
I guess what happened upon your interacting with him? What do you recall?
There was some hostility. I had to provide the paperwork that said that we had custody, that we were current temporary guardians over Jameson. At that time, we were told that one of us was allowed back at the appointment. Then there was an exchange that I was unable to hear, and then we were notified that we were denied access during Carrie, Timms, and Brady portion of the appointment, and that we were only be allowed to see Jameson's due to HIPAA purposes.
Okay, and let me back up just a minute. So you said that there was an interaction that you could not hear. What was happening at that moment?
We were all standing like kind of in the lobby. It was like it wasn't really even a lobby. It was like, it was in front of an office building. And we were exchanging like who we all were. And then there was an exchange that, again, I couldn't overhear. I don't know what was said. But Dr. Hollick had said or whispered something to Miss Timms at that time.
Okay.
And that's when we were informed that we would not be allowed into the portion of the doctor's appointment with Miss Timms or...
Okay. And were you ever allowed into the examination room?
We were. So I was actually the one that went back. I waited 45 minutes in the lobby before Dr. Hollick came and got me. He asked if I had had a COVID test within 48 hours of that appointment. I said no, that we were unaware that we needed a COVID test at that time. He did ask who was ever sitting at the front desk. I was eventually allowed back, and the appointment lasted maybe 18, 20 minutes.
And that was when you were actually in the examination room?
Yes.
Did you observe the examination of Jameson?
Yes.
Okay, what did you observe happen?
So what I witnessed was Ms. was asked to take pictures of the exam. Jameson was laid on the medical bed. There was no blood work drawn. There was like a tickle of the feet, Jameson's feet, some pressing down on his stomach, and that was really all that happened. It was not a typical appointment that I had ever seen from a doctor's appointment. And like I said, this is after 45 minutes of me being in the lobby. I did provide a release of information because I knew that we would need the medical reports once the medical exam was completed. And I verified not once but twice that the paperwork that he needed is all he needed in order for us to receive the medical records. We did not get the medical reports from Dr. Hollick himself. We actually got it through I believe, Ms. Tim's attorney later on, but it was after a few months.
Okay. So let me back up. So you were there in the room for 18 minutes. What happened after the 18 minutes in the exam that you just detailed for us?
After Jameson's portion was completed, I was informed that Ms. Tim's and Ms. Bullock's portion was going to start, and that's when I had to leave the room. So I was asked to go back down to the lobby. So we had moved buildings from the original building where we all met to a different building on the medical campus.
Okay. So you were in the room, then you were asked to leave again, and then how long did you wait after you left the examination room?
Roughly 15 minutes.
Okay. Where did you go, I guess, after being in the waiting room? What happened next?
We went our separate ways because I know we had a flight that we had to we had to catch back to Georgia.
Did you stay the night in Boston?
No, it was a very long day. We left at 2:30 in the morning and got back almost at midnight.
Now, at any point, as the supervisor on this case, were you made aware of any other doctor's visits or telehealth visits that had occurred with Jameson?
We did along the way. So he was referred, and this is prior to me. I was reviewing the record and I was notified that he was supposed to have a genetic referral completed at Emory. Somewhere along the lines, that referral did not go through, so I contacted Emory in May to talk about the genetics testing. I also talked to the pediatrician, Dr. Sisk, on May 10th, and he informed me that there was a genetic referral sent to Dr. Stevens in Chattanooga at Erlanger.
Okay. And so at that point, that had, I guess an appointment had been made for a geneticist?
Yes, so there was going to be one at Emory, and then there was also the one at Erlanger as well.
Okay, now when was the appointment at Erlanger?
Let me see, the 21st of June.
And who was the appointment with?
Dr. Stevens.
Now, who went to the appointment with Dr. Stevens?
So Ms. Timms was there, and then the paternal grandmother was there, and then myself and Ms. Bono, who was the case manager at the time.
And were you in the room when that doctor's appointment took place?
Yes.
Were you there for the entirety of the visit?
Yes.
During this visit, was Jameson examined?
He was.
And what, did you observe that take place?
Yes.
Do you recall what all was done when you all were there?
Not verbatim. I just know, after reviewing the records and refreshing my memory, there was nothing wrong. They said that he was developmentally on track.
So, wait a minute. What's your objection?
She's going to start repeating a diagnosis, that's hearsay.
Okay.
So without saying what,
I'll sustain the
Yeah.
objection.
Don't tell what somebody else told you.
Gotcha.
so was Jameson the only one that was examined when you all were there?
Ms. Timms was too.
Ms. Timms was as well? Okay. Now, based upon this visit with Dr. Stevens, did anything change with DFAC's position regarding the case?
No.
At that point in time, was Jameson still in the custody of,
Yes. Well, he was in DFAC's custody, placed with.
place?
Yes.
Sorry.
Mhm.
All right, so he was still placed with at that point in time. Now, who are Renee and Scott Timms?
I believe the grandparents.
Okay, and was there a point at which that Jameson was removed from the placement?
Yes, in July.
July? And what was the reason for that?
That happened through Superior Court.
Okay, and what, I guess, who got custody at that point in time? Or I guess, placement or custody?
Placement was given to Mr. and Ms. Timms at that point in time, that July hearing. And then the juvenile court was dismissed, I believe, in August.
And you said juvenile dismissed in August. What does that mean?
Meaning DFCS no longer had any involvement.
Okay. Did DFCS want to close the case at that point in time?
No.
Okay. And why is that?
We were concerned about the safety of Jameson. There were concerns that family members did not believe that there was maltreatment, did not believe that they were injuries, and so we were concerned about the overall supervision.
After August, when the DFCS case closed, did DFCS have any control over who could or could not see Jameson?
No,
Did DFCS have any oversight to his care at that point?
no,
Do you know the Tims outside of working with them on this case?
no,
Do you have any kind of bias towards the Tims?
no,
Do you like to keep children away from their parents?
no.
How long was it that Jameson was in DFCS custody?
I believe he came in January, and our case, I mean, he went with the grandparents in July, so 7 months.
Okay. During that time that DFCS had custody of Jameson, did he have any breaks or bruises that were unexplained?
No,
Thank you, Ms. Law. Mr. Hood, any questions?
Good afternoon, Ms. Bray. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you. So that I'm clear, did you say at some point in time you became the sort of day-to-day case manager?
No, I would fill in every now and again while Ms. Bono was at training, but I was never the full-time case manager, no.
Okay, were you familiar then with the case plan that was entered in this case for these two parents?
Vaguely, that case plan was created prior to me becoming supervisor.
All right, did you ever review it?
Yes.
Do you recall anything that was in it?
I believe both of the parents were asked to do a parental fitness, a psychological, parenting classes, maintain stable employment and housing. I believe attend medical appointments. And without looking at it further, I don't.
To your knowledge, were there any difficulties in terms of the parents cooperating with their case plan?
No, they completed their assessments. They attended medical appointments. Yeah, they did the things that we had asked them to do.
Okay. Did they do those things in a timely fashion?
Yes.
Regarding the trip to Boston, if my understanding is that you've got the order in which evaluations were done backwards, that Carrie, Timms, and Brittany were evaluated first, and then Jameson was evaluated after them. Am I misunderstanding that?
So that is not what we are told. I'm not sure what happened within that first 45 minutes. What I was told was that Jameson's portion had ended and that Miss Timms' portion was going to begin. And then 15 minutes later, Miss Timms and Dr. Hollick came down to where Miss Bono and I were.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened within that first 45 minutes.
Okay, and so this is a visit that takes place on the campus of Boston University, is that correct?
Yes.
Specifically in their medical school.
Yes.
And the person that this child is meeting with at that time is both a professor at that university, as I understand it, and has privileges at that university's hospital. Does that sound accurate?
I don't know about him being a professor. I just know about the doctor portion.
Okay. And your testimony as I understand it, is that you thought his evaluation of Jameson was out of the ordinary.
I was a little shocked that there was no, like, blood testing or anything like that.
Okay,
It
what,
didn't-
the doctor that you were with, what's his specialty?
Can you repeat that?
His specialty, Dr. Hollick. What
My
does he do?
understanding is he's a vitamin D deficiency doctor.
Okay,
I don't have his criteria in front of me.
all right. He's a published, respected medical doctor, but you don't know what field it's in. Is that your testimony?
My understanding is that he is a vitamin D deficiency doctor.
And do you know what he was testing for that day?
EDS.
What is EDS?
This is where I should. I don't have that written down, actually.
Okay.
I know the acronym.
So you know
But-
3 letters,
I know the 3 letters.
and that's it. So how would somebody appropriately test for EDS?
So I can talk about what Dr. Stevens did, which was review the medical reports. There was a lot of testing completed as far as measurements. It just seemed to be a lot more thorough and lasted a lot more than 20 minutes.
Okay. But by your testimony, you were not present for much of what went on. Is that correct?
So that's where I think the problem started, was we had a court order saying that we were supposed to be in those appointments, and we were neglected out of 45 minutes of it. So I don't know what happened within the 45 minutes. There could have been stuff that was done with Jameson that we didn't have privy to.
Okay. And you don't know what records Dr. Hollick reviewed or didn't review, correct?
Correct.
You don't know what medical history he had in front of him and what he didn't have in front of him, correct?
Correct, because we didn't have access to that.
Okay. And that is a sticking point for the department, right?
What?
The fact that you guys did not get notified and basically give your blessing to this trip to Boston.
I don't think it was the fact that we had to give a blessing. It was that we felt there was a lot of underhandedness with it. There wasn't a lot of transparency. And then when we even got to Boston, it was very there wasn't a lot of transparency from the get-go. Even when Dr. Hollick whispered in the ears, and then all of a sudden we were left out of 45 minutes of an appointment that we were supposed to be a part of. Not allowed to be interfered, and we didn't intervene. But we don't know what transpired for 45 minutes out of that medical appointment that we were supposed to be involved in, or at least allowed access to. So it's not necessarily that we didn't give a blessing. It was that there was just very little transparency, and it looked like it was hiding. And just to put another example on that, even in
Hold
Dr.
on.
Stevens' appointment, it was disclosed that there were medical records that were sent off to another provider, and Dr. Stevens asked who those providers were, and Dr. Stevens was advised during that appointment that they were advised not to share.
Okay.
So it's just that there was a lot of lack of transparency. It wasn't that we had any blessings that we needed to give.
Okay. So this child was in the physical custody at that time of Brittany and Jake Bullock, correct?
He was placed there, yes.
Physical custody,
Yeah.
correct?
But we were the guardians, yes.
You guys had
So
legal
over-
custody. They had physical custody, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So tell me what you know about Jake Bullock.
That he is in law enforcement, that he was on a special task force with the governor's office.
Okay. He's a Georgia State patrolman, Georgia State trooper, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Any safety concerns y'all had about Brittany and Jake?
No, not at all.
Okay. Why were they harassed to the extent they were harassed by your department?
I think that's a very opinionated question. I don't think they were harassed at all. I think
Really?
we were doing our due diligence as an agency that is trying to oversee the safety and well-being of a child, and had concerns about all the different interferences, and again, the very much lack of communication that we were getting and the very much lack of transparency that we were getting.
Okay, so you're aware, are you not, that Mr. had to have a meeting with the head of the state patrol and with Candace Brose, the head of your department, correct?
Yes.
All right? At that time, the reason he was having that meeting is because you all were trying to remove Jameson from his home, correct?
Yes.
Okay? Your department head, Ms. Brose, intervened and said, ain't happening. Kid's staying where he is. Okay? Were you invited to that meeting?
I was not invited to Ms. Brose. However, I was invited to the meeting that included our regional and district director.
Okay. Was Ms. Bono invited to the meeting with Ms. Brose?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Neither one of you attended that meeting, is that correct?
No, because we didn't know that meeting was going on.
So, you all were trying to remove the Jameson from the home. He had to meet with the head of your department in an effort to stop that. Then the grandparents come to Superior Court in an effort to get custody of the child. And y'all come here and object to that, and your testimony today is the reason you were objecting to that is because you wanted the child to remain in the home. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes,
What, can you make sense of that for me?
we can. So we had a family team meeting with Mr. and Ms. and they were not privy to a lot of the information that was originally, I guess, being discussed. After we had a family team meeting, they understood the seriousness of the case. They understood that there were concerns. And then they even went to an appointment at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta with Ms. Bono and I, where I think they realized and recognized the seriousness of the nature of the case, that had nothing to do with medical, that it was concerns about actual physical abuse and injuries. And when that came to light, there was a different tone as far as Mr. and Ms. was concerned. But previously, before that family team meeting occurred, there were concerns that there was unsupervised visits going on. There were concerns that they were not following through as far as what we as an agency expect our relative placements to adhere by.
And that's why y'all were showing up at their house at 2:00 in the morning, beating on the door. Beating on the door of a state patrolman to say, let us in your home to see who's here.
I don't recall anyone going to their home at 2 in the morning.
Okay. Well, if they did, you weren't there. Is that your testimony?
Well, right, I was not there. And I know that I did not authorize or ask anyone to make a call at 2 in the morning.
Okay. And having a drug tester, one of your providers, tell him that he had to perform a urine drug test, a urine drug test in front of his daughter, would not let him excuse himself and be outside the presence of his minor child to take a drug test. Are you aware of that? A state patrolman.
So we contract providers to complete our home assessments for kinship cares. And a part of our kinship assessments are substance abuse screens. Our provider, that was something that we had to talk to our provider about because we were not aware that that happened. That was not anyone that was employed with our agency. That was a contractor that we used.
So not your fault.
I did not say that it was I did not say that it wasn't, and I didn't say that it was. I was saying that was a learning experience for our providers. I mean, I don't.
Well, would you agree that it was a learning experience for Mr. too?
I guess.
Maybe
If you want to look at it that way.
Could
But
be.
that is a part of our contract, and that was made aware prior to placement, is that a kinship assessment needed to be completed, and part of that was a background check and a substance abuse assessment, or a substance abuse screen.
y'all were not happy with the fact that Brittany and Jake had the audacity to seek second opinions, second medical opinions for this child without getting y'all's blessing. And in turn, those folks were harassed by your department to the extent that he had to go to your statewide director and seek relief. Correct?
I was unaware that Mr. and Ms. went and got a second opinion from a doctor until just now.
What was the trip to Boston about?
I thought it was organized by Ms. Thames, honestly.
Was Brittany not there?
She was, but my understanding while Ms. was there is so that the DNA test could be done through her, on her as well, because Mr. Timms couldn't be present at that appointment. And that was confusing to me because they're half siblings.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bernard?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Bray. Were you involved in Jameson Timms' case at all prior to February of 2022?
No.
Okay. So if there is a notation from January 13th in Jameson's medical records that at some point the pediatrician is said to have coordinated with someone high up in DFCS administration who pushed the issue, would you know who that person high up in DFCS administration is?
No.
Okay. So you first became aware of Jameson Timms in February, but you didn't have any direct contact with Jameson himself until April of 2022 when you attended the appointment in Boston?
There might have been another instance before then, but from what I can recall, April 2022, that Boston.
Well, so do you recall ever laying eyes on Jameson Timms here in Gordon County before you went up to Boston for the appointment?
Not that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, though.
Okay.
That was 3 years ago.
So you were drawing your conclusions about Jameson's health and medical and physical condition exclusively from the reports given to you by the medical providers. Is that accurate?
And staffing the case with the people within our office.
Okay, so who were the people within your office that the case was staffed with, Jameson's case?
So Ms. Bono was one of them. The previous supervisor, Rachel Johnson.
Anybody else?
I think those two were primarily it.
Okay. Was Lori Stanfield ever working on the case?
That would have been before me, and even before I came to Gordon County.
Okay. So did you ever review any records from Jameson's visit to Erlanger in 2020, in November of 2021, or his visit to CHOA in January of 2022?
I'm sure I did. I don't have those records in front of me, though.
Okay. At what stage would you have, at what stage of your involvement would you have reviewed those records?
Probably at the beginning, so anywhere between February, March, beginning of April.
Did you ever, you mentioned earlier in your testimony with Ms. Law that you were responsible for collaterals. Is that right?
No, I helped and assisted with collaterals, but I was not responsible for them.
Okay, so who would have been responsible for them?
Ms. Bono.
Okay. Do you know who she contacted?
I don't know who she contacted right offhand. I can tell you who I contacted.
Okay, so who did you contact?
So one of them was Dr. Brown with CHOA. I contacted Dr. Sisk. I talked to the front desk at Emory because I needed to understand what happened with that referral.
Which referral are you talking
The
about?
genetic referral, the one that originally was sent over by CHOA at the beginning of the case, somewhere along those lines, that referral never made it from one doctor to the next. So I re-referred it back in May of 2022.
So that's why we didn't find out about the genetic variant on the call 1A2 gene that until May of 2022?
I don't, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you.
Okay. Do you know about that genetic variant on one of the collagen producing genes that was found?
Not right offhand.
Okay. What do you know about Jamison Tim's medical situation?
That he, in all the medical reports, from the pediatrician to Dr. Stevens to Dr. Brown, that he's a happy, healthy baby that was developmentally on track.
Clinically well, is that a term that you recognize?
Sure.
So did you ever do any home visits with Carrie and Brady Tims?
No,
You did do some of the home visits with Brittany and Jake.
no,
Oh, you did not participate in any of the home visits.
no.
Who else would have been participating in the home visits from the department if not you or Ms. Bono?
There could have been another case manager that would have helped. I'm trying to think. Outside of the initial investigators, I think Miss Bono would have been the primary person that did the home visits unless someone was covering for her.
Okay. Do you know who the investigators were on Jamison's case for your department?
So that would have definitely been April Hunt, and her supervisor was Lori Sanfield.
Okay. Do you know of anybody else who might have been serving as an investigator on the case at the initial stages?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And were you, and I guess you've already said that you were not involved in anything that took place in January, such as the department's decision to deny medical information to Carrie and Brady Tims entirely, right?
No.
Okay, so you've got your separate concerns about transparency in April 2022, but you were not involved in the decision to specifically exclude Carrie and Brady Tims from all medical reports about their child, Jamison.
Correct. I wasn't a part of that decision-making.
Okay. All right, you mentioned that you were on a specialized assignment here in Gordon County in early 2022, is that right?
Yes.
And you mentioned that it was because of transition within the offices. What was that transition?
Just case managers being promoted to supervisors and then bringing and onboarding case managers on.
Okay. So was there anybody involved in Jamison's case who left the office or moved on somewhere else?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So I guess who would be most responsible from your department for Jamison Tim's case? Like who's the person who would know all about Jamison Tim's case?
From start to finish?
Right.
I'm not entirely sure anyone would be able to talk about, just because we have different departments too. So when a case opens up, we have our investigation department, so that's one sector of an office, and then we have the permanency side. So
Do those two sides talk to each other?
they do, but it's not that one supervisor would be supervising from start to finish, and it's not like a case manager would be being the case manager from start to finish, because they're two different program areas.
Okay. Well, just to be candid, we've been getting a lot of answers of people not being responsible for things. And so I guess what do you consider yourself responsible for in the Jamison Timms case?
I was supervising the case from February 2022 until it finished.
Okay. And during that time, did you observe any medical or physical issues with Jamison Timms?
No,
Did you observe any abusive conduct by Carrie Timms or Brady Timms?
no, but I didn't see any of those interactions either.
Okay. And were you aware of the home visit that Ms. Bono scheduled to the Timms home and then did not show up for?
No,
Was she supposed to do at least one home visit to the Timms?
yes.
She was supposed to do that?
There would be a home visit each month, whether it be in the home or in the field.
Okay. So are you aware of anything that Carrie Timms or Brady Timms did wrong throughout this process?
No, I mean, the only thing that I can say is that there just seemed to be a lot of, and I'm gonna say that I do recognize that there were a lot of attorneys and a lot of attorney voices that were involved in this case. So that prevented a lot of transparency, where typically if we have parents that are involved with us, we have a lot more interaction. It appeared in this case that attorneys prevented a lot of the transparency, prevented a lot of communication. And so it was a hindrance because this was a multi-factor case because it did involve the criminal side as well. So,
Well, I mean, it sounds like the criminal side was, the accusations that we're here today on for Brady and Carrie Timms, that sort of forms the entire basis for the department's removal and subsequent attempts to keep Jamison away from first his aunt and uncle and then his grandparents and continually from his parents, right?
well, he wasn't removed from his aunt and uncle. And
But that's only
as-
because y'all weren't successful when you tried to have him removed, right?
there were a lot of meetings that were involved, and depending on the outcome of what would have happened at that family team meeting, the outcome probably would have been different. But there was a lot of openness at that family team meeting where we felt comfortable keeping Jamison there. So I don't know what the outcome would have been if that family team meeting would have been any different.
Okay, because, so at any point from any of Jamison's relatives, have you received anything but cooperation and compliance with safety plans, assessments, instructions, et cetera?
Once the Bullocks and DFCS got on the same page of what the expectations were, we had no issues.
Okay. So you responded, I think, to one of my earlier questions by saying, with a lot of attorneys involved, you're preventing transparency. So I guess let me ask again. Did you observe my client, Carrie Timms, or her husband, Brady Timms, do anything wrong throughout the entire pendency of your review and handling and management of this case?
No, they completed their assessments and they were compliant.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bernard. Anything else of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hood?
Nothing further.
Ms. Bernard, you were finished, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. You sure can. Ms. Bernard, Mr. Hood, if y'all step around as well.